The 22nd of November. We are getting close to the end of another month, and end of another week, and now we got another holiday coming up. It's going to get interesting times. And let me just say, we got some other interesting times coming out there. The FHFA, the Federal Housing Finance Agency, is now giving Fannie and Freddie a little bit more leeway to add to their coffers, if you will, more loans for apartments, larger apartment complexes. No, this is something that normal average banks do. No, it's your commercial banks would do big loans on monster apartment complexes, and they'll package it up and sell it, and Fannie can securitize these deals. So it's not like you just go to your regular mortgage lender and say, "Hey, I want to buy a 50-unit apartment complex or a 200-unit apartment complex, put 20% down." It's a whole different animal. Right? This is commercial lending, but what they're doing is expanding that and making that to work. They're seeing there's a housing issue. They're seeing that the what's going on in the market for rentals is they need to be making more available for people to have more places to rent. So, but their focus is, I wouldn't say their total focus, but monster focus is on the apartments, on your subscription-based economy. But what does that mean for you as a real estate investor? You as a real estate investor buying houses, you offer a better product. We already see that the product is something that there's a monster demand for. There's people that are demanding this place to live. I mean, they need something. And we've got a generation of folks right now that are really struggling as far as where they can find something that's not just going to break them because of the expense. So you purchasing something that you have the capability to, let's say, raise rents at 3% per year, which is not a whole hell of a lot. It's a small amount, but that small amount compounds quite quickly over 3, 4, 5 years. If you're making, $1,800 a month rent and $100 a month cash flow, might not excite you to have that. But if you raise that only 3%, it's not going to excite your tenant. Your tenant's not going to get crazy over a $54 increase in rent. So you're not going to risk losing a great tenant that takes care of your house because that's part of the deal. You want that. But you're now talking about a $54 increase in a $100 a month cash flow. Now that's going to increase by another 55, $56 the next year. And they're going to keep compounding. What's 5 years look like? As long as you've got a tenant in there that keeps it reasonably rented the entire time you own it, you're slowly raising those rents because of inflation. It's not a ton, not that you're going to lose anything. And you're keeping your expenses under control because you're not having to turn that property. And they're happy because they're able to maintain a lifestyle in a 4 bedroom, 2 bath home rather than somebody living in a 2 bedroom apartment that's seeing $100 to $200 a month increases year over year. You're putting yourself in a much better position to offer a better product to the market. Just know the market is focusing on apartments. You focusing on single family housing positions you in a place that's a little bit better to be. The other thing is, how do you go about financing? What type of property should you be getting? What are you looking at as you're purchasing properties? Who are you talking to? Now is not the time as a real estate investor to just be shopping around seeing where things are going to be rate and who can close quick. That's the barrier to entry. Anybody should be able to give you a reasonable interest rate, reasonable cost, and a reasonable term time on this deal. It's about the experience that they get to share with you about what you're about to purchase. That's where the value comes in. What's the value of your team? What experience are you getting? What are they bringing to the table? Are you the CEO that's going to go to start a monster company that you need really, really good talent for? Are you going to go to hold a little job fair at a college and try and give minimum wage for somebody who can now be your CFO and your COO who's never had experience in the field? They might know how to calculate really, really well. They may have a great operations spreadsheet they learned at the college, but they've never practically applied a damn thing. And here's what's also really interesting. They learn from somebody who's never practically applied a damn thing too. The person who taught them does not have any practical application. They understand theory. So when you're talking about a lender who comes into space, say, hey, I do investor loans. Here's the guidelines. Zero practical application on how to help you. They don't know. And they're being told or instructed by the corporate trainer who's probably never even been a lender, much less been a loan originator. If you're a corporate trainer, sorry guys, you just don't have the experience to be out there on the front lines. Me being a real estate investor, I have team members who are real estate investors. I have team members who've been doing this since the 80s. You got to wrap your head around who's the best person for your role. And if you're talking about, man, I may save $100 going with this guy over this guy, you got to understand business. You got to be a business person. So that's going to be my rant going into what's happening in the world today. You got to actually figure out who you need on your team, not who's going to be the cheapest. And we all have to be reasonable, but we're also an extremely expensive process these days with what the government requires that we do. So, and that's why I have a monster team to be sure that you're taken care of, that you got the best people with the most experience to ensure that you don't do something stupid that's going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars down the pipe. Now, let's look in the market and see what we're dealing with today. So we've got, let me see here, back in that channel, guys. We are now seeing the still in the channel, not really going anywhere, going sideways. It's pulled out of this channel. We can almost erase it now. So we went down here, we hit this this level that we had drawn out, saw it here, had this one sitting there for a long time, and now we're just going to bounce sideways in this. And what we also have is two moving averages converging, the 14 and the 21 day converging right there. We have an additional ceiling that we'll have to get through. If you can see that, I'm going to zoom it bigger. These two converging moving averages now offer another thing. See how that wick went up and hit it and pulled back? So that's where we're going to be going sideways, it looks like, especially for the near future. I don't know how long that's going to last. If we break below it, as you can see here, we got a long ways we can fall. If we consolidate this, you can see that it can fall quite a bit. And how much is that? How much is that fall? If we're going to fall from there to where we have our next support, that is 139 basis points is what that move is. That's how much that fall would be if we go to our next level, would be 139 basis points. What does that mean? The interest rates we're offering you today could go up 1.3 points. So it's a $100,000 loan, it'll go up $1,300. If you are not trying to get hit with the rate or the cost, you're probably looking at 0.5% in rate. So that's the risk that we have ahead of us right now if we're thinking, maybe we'll float and see if this gets a little bit better. As far as the market is concerned, since our last conversation, we've had initial claims. Jobless claims actually went down. Previous claims, they were 219,000 claims, actually revised up from what it was at 217,000 was reported, but it was revised up, and now we have 213,000 in claims. So it's a little bit of a drop. So that's our initial ones. Continuing claims actually went up. They were revised from, say, 173,000 was what the actual reported was. So now it's actually revised to 172,000, excuse me, 1.872, sorry, 1,872,000, and it's now 1.908. That jumped a lot. So continuing claims is continuing up. I think we're going to continue to see jobs start to struggle, especially you have to get the new administration in. And if you got that Department of Government, Elon and Vivek, when they get to working and they start trimming this out, we're going to see a monster amount of jobless claims. But it's going to be a weird shift. Usually you see jobs waning that helps the interest rates. Money goes into bonds because the market is going to be waning. It says, hey, if we have less jobs, it means the economy is hurting, the employers are hurting, they're having to lay off. Let's put our money into bonds, let's get it out of stocks. But if we're taking it from the public sector and we're shutting down different departments that are just not doing anything, it's not affecting corporations. It's not affecting stock, but it is affecting the jobs. So it's going to be a real interesting ride to understand. It may not push the interest rates down like what we'd see before, because we're not going to have that flight to bonds. Stocks are not going to be hurting. There's going to be people looking for jobs, but possibly we might see an increase in the private sector to absorb some of these guys over time. It's going to take a while. We'll see that monster spike in your unemployment, but not a decline in stocks. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm going to see how this plays out. Bottom line here, let's just say housing is where it's going to be at. Tech and real estate, that's where you got to be. If you're not in one of those, find your ass a way to get your ass in it. And if you're looking to try and get the financing and the people to help you guide you through it, it's not just about the loan, guys. I'm not here just for the loan. I'm a people collector. I need relationships and experience. And this gives me the opportunity to have a great relationship with great people who want to do great things, and we want to help you get there. So contact us, aaron.chapman.com. Text me 602-291-3357 to schedule some time. My team can help you get started if you haven't. And if you're trying to continue to expand and be prepared for the expansion, get back in contact with us. Let's figure out where you're at, what you need to do, so you've got a game plan. Appreciate you.